2 years ago when I came, I talked about the TVET sector. And yesterday when I met somebody, I'm not sure if he's here, he said, hey, Mr. TVET. I said, oh, no, that because I told you, I'm now Mr. TVET. So the areas that I'll be looking at is the TVET sector, its appropriateness, and then especially to the technical production. And I thought maybe the fourth industrial revolution should come in. I know my friend Paris here yesterday said, yeah, this fourth industrial, everybody jumps onto these things. I said I'll take a step back to talk about this so that at least we are on the same understanding when it comes to that. So the topic is the TVET sector as an appropriate bridge for qualified and trained personnel. Obviously, if there's a fourth, there was a first, a second, the third, the fourth, and maybe the fifth coming. I said I'll talk to these ones particularly so that at least we are located in us, and then I'll talk also about the TVET sector, just at a glance to say why TVET and how it's structured so that at least we're coming from the same point. And then the last part I say what if, to say maybe there are challenges, then what? Or how does this come together and how does it help us? I'm saying, will it still be a need, or will it still, or whatever I do, will still be needed for the future because of the challenges that this fourth industrial revolution is bringing to us. First industrial revolution started around 1760s, long time ago, 1700s, when this first came. Prior to that, people used to work at their homes, like, the good example, Jesus' father would teach the son to be carpenter, so it was a family thing. When this revolution comes, it became a bigger thing, wherein you can start a company and employ many people. Before it was you and your family. That was the first industrial, but it came as a result of steam. When steam came, to have steam trains, steam this to run, then that was the first industrial, because it changed everything. It takes about 100 years. You have the second industrial revolution around 1860s thereabout, because of electricity. So we substitute steam, put electricity, it does the same in running these big machines. Second industrial revolution. And then the third industrial revolution, look from the second, I said it's around the 1860s, isn't it? To 1980s, we moved to a third industrial revolution. More than 100 years now, maybe 140 years thereabout. Then you have, it's the internet that brought the third industrial revolution, where everything and many industries were destroyed in the processes. One used in companies to have travel agents who will sit there, they'll book your ticket for hotel, for everything. When the internet came, you do it yourself. So the industry died except for a very few. So it does hit you when it comes. So that's why when you see it coming, you prepare in good time. Fourth industrial revolution, I say it's around 2010. There's a debate. Others say, no, the fourth industrial, others maybe a little earlier, because it was used by the armies. When the armies, when they use this thing, they put it under wraps. Around that time is when everybody started talking about it. This fourth industrial revolution. What is it about? Many things. People, try to explain it like an elephant. If you have an elephant, if you have people who are challenged with the sight, cannot see, and you take them to an elephant, somebody touches the leg. It says, hey, it feels like a tree, isn't it? And somebody touches this side, or I'm not sure what this side is, and say, it feels like a wall. So everybody touches this part and tries to define it in terms of what they see in it. What I've written there is the internet again. I said is IoT, the Internet of Things. Internet of Things saying, this internet now touches everything. You don't need to be at home to switch the lights on. You don't need to, all these things happen. Now you even know that there will be cars that you can drive without, driverless, isn't it? All those things are the fourth industrial revolution. By the way, obviously different countries will be moving at different paces. Others will be ahead of us. Others will be behind, but still will know that this is the order of the day. That's why in the first industrial revolution, people were still using horses, isn't it? Before cars and this. But even today, you have people selling coal with horses. So you will still have remnants of those ones moving on to this one, even though you know that primarily we are in this particular era. So the Internet of Things and the artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, wherein you develop some software which can be able to do something, it learns, and it learns, it gets better than you, and because it's faster than you, and can do many things faster than you. This artificial intelligence, that it will take over, that's the challenge of saying many jobs will be lost because of this. Everybody kept saying, when we started with Marco, saying, hey, jobs will be lost, and everybody, because these instruments and gadgets as you use it, same as car. When you look at what the model that car has, instead of your big thing, I don't know what the name is, with those buttons, you have it now in that laptop, isn't it? And move. To say that, that big box has come to, that's the kind of direction the artificial intelligence, or rather this Internet of Things, blended together so that you get things moving at a faster pace. And robotics, we hear that the robots that will be doing this, the robots. So it's not something that is there, it's here. The difference is the pace, how far you are. Others are faster than us, but it's here to affect us. The point is we position ourselves to say, how do we deal with this? I'm now saying, we took 100 years to move there, 150. Now, I'm saying 5th Industrial Revolution. Nobody has spoken about it, isn't it? Possibly it has started somewhere. And the pace of this IT software, it's so fast, doesn't take 100 years, take 5 years. Others, they say, to change a computer, the software takes 3 months. It changes 3 months. So it tells us that that one will be very fast. And already, if it's very fast, we'll be talking about 4 or 5 years from now, we're talking the 5th. I'm saying others will be ahead of us, we'll be playing catch up. Now they're making computers, they're called quantum computers. This quantum computers is a computer that's able to analyze, you can take all the systems that you are doing in the country and put it in some small room. And it deals with everything in the country, and apparently it can do even other dimensions. We usually talk the dimensions, the 3 dimensions. They say this thing can hit many dimensions. You don't know where it's getting the information from. It's frightening, but it's there because Japan apparently is already running a quantum computer now. So it's telling you that it's not there, it's here. And when this quantum computer becomes the order of the day, all our computers are like Stone Age things. They are old age. That's what they're saying, that it will, all what we think now as our best, all of a sudden, they are dark ages kind of things. So that's what I'm saying. The 5th will be coming very soon. But I was just taking us through, so that when I say 4th Industrial, we're able to locate it, and exactly what you're talking about. These are some of the things. These are said by the MD of Mercedes, Dana. He said it last month, what I'm sharing with you. His challenges, his anxieties about this fog, how it affects them as a company. He's saying, competition is no longer about cars. So as Mercedes, they're not competing with the BMs and the Ford. He says, no, the competition now is with Google and everybody, because everybody just takes something that is computer and put in your car wheels, and then he says that's a competition now. No longer about the culture. So he says, no, that's the one he's saying. The other one he's saying, software. That is software, Uber. Nobody's owning these cars, but is running these cars, is owning this thing in the whole world, isn't it? Uber and this Airbnb. Somebody was complaining last month in South Africa, who's in the hotel industry, saying, no, this thing, we must come with laws with this thing. These guys don't own these hotels, but they run them, isn't it? To say, with the software now, you change everything, you run everything. There was an issue which I take up with when he said, you know, somebody said yesterday in your question to say, what about especially the young generation who don't go to live events, they just look at the screen, isn't it? You said, yeah, but the thing is the feel and the touch is not there in the life. Remember, in the world of the person who hasn't been alive, to them this is their life. Rather, what we should say is that, wait a minute, we'll have our light event. After the live, we'll find that maybe the revenue that we generate from the live will be 5% compared to what we can generate if we take that live to the right place. Such that those ones who never leave, they still are there, but you generate more. Because it's not coming from there, it's already here. So, he was talking lawyers. That now lawyers will be in trouble as well. Because the opinions or whatever of lawyers, you go to the internet, something gives you a better opinion than a lawyer. To say now, lawyers will have a challenge. Doctors, there's something that called a tricho or something. That thing, when it comes, it scans your eye and checks 54 biomarkers in your body. You'll tell you that you have this, you'll have that, you'll have that. A doctor will take 1 or 2, or to say it's not there, it's here. That's the pace at which this thing is moving. So that's why when I said our industry, it's geared. I said it's within it, isn't it? I said our industry, particularly the technical and production, that ours seems to be a pace with this thing. So, but there will be others, the lifters, I mean, those may be in trouble. But the other ones, I believe that at least we will be moving with things. Another example, artificial intelligence, the diagnosis of cancer, they say this thing diagnosed 4 times better than somebody who's diagnosing. So next time when somebody diagnosed with cancer, oh, that machine, isn't it? Because it's faster, maybe it's thorough, this one can make a mistake. That's what it is. Cities, there's a problem now, or there will be a problem coming. Because these cars, they say the autonomous cars. These autonomous cars, cars without drivers. So there won't be accidents, isn't it? They don't make mistakes. The challenge is that the insurance companies have a challenge now because they know that they'll be dying because there won't be need for insurance. Cities will change because there's no need for parking. So all these car parks may change to something else. Are you with me? Those are the things that seem there, but they're here. I'm saying even in our thinking, this is what is happening. It's only that sometimes when things happen, they seem far, but they're here. This tricorder is the one that I was talking about, that checks, and the airplane parts, the 3D printing. I was saying now, instead of taking things to China, these guys use the 3D printer. I haven't seen it. I just hear about it. You know, some things we hear it passing, you say, oh, it's there, I won't find it there. This 3D printer, they print anything on 3D, and then when they ship it, you just put it together, and the parts, airplane parts, they're saying they just print on 3D, and it's manufactured somewhere else, and then the thing is there. So that's what is part of what we are facing now in the 4th industrial revolution. The last part that I spoke about is a projection that this man makes that by 2027, almost 10% of everything that you produce will be on 3D. Use 3D printer, it just goes 3D and gives everything, and then we are able to deal with that. So that's the impacts of this 4th industrial revolution. So that at least when we play as an industry, I heard people, Neil was talking about, here we have an African board. I did allude to this. That's good way to have a standard, not because they kept mentioning UK. You heard me. He said there's a standard in UK. I said we want the standards here. If we design it African standards, then it goes across the continent. My TVET, well, like I've called, I said I'm now called Mr. TVET. These are colleges, technical, so that the word TVET has been changed over time, you know, to keep pace so that it sounds fancy, technical, vocational. But we used to call them this further education and training colleges. In the public, here in South Africa, I'm talking about public, there are 50 public ones. There are 50 public ones across the country. Public ones are the ones that state funds, but there will be private. Private ones, I said, there are about 291 private ones. So obviously my bias seems to be this government one. Because, well, that's my experience. And there are 9 community colleges. These colleges are, in fact, the plan is such that you increase those community colleges, maybe in number so that they even pass the 50 public ones, because the community will be to the communities, so hopefully accessibility will be easy from these colleges. And the money there, the 600K, is just a registration per annum, but it is debatable. But in terms of just the analysis, that's what it is. But I believe it's far less than that. It's about 60, not 600. I think maybe I put a zero there. I looked at it to say 600. I said, no man, it must be 60. Yesterday when we were discussing, I said why it seems this would be appropriate for us. Because in our industry, we said people gain international, they gain experiences, practical experience. When they gain that practical experience, where you need them to come in or to be able to get the practical to the academic one that you're talking about. That TVET looks like a better option because with them it said 70% is hardcore or the practical and 30% is the theoretical one. So that's why it feels like that one would be a better suit. And then on marketing, well, currently, somebody said yesterday that hey, it's branded differently because people said it's for, those, it's true. That's currently how it's seen as, that those who fail to go to university find themselves in TVET. So the branding issue is a branding issue that we need to deal with. And in TVET, that's why we have our artisans, entrepreneurs, and employees. That's just the background on TVET. And here, just talking about it, that he has seen as a stepchild, there are funding issues, weak collaboration with the private sector. I'm talking challenges so that when we deal with this, we know what we're facing. Weak challenges with the private sector. Yesterday, I kept saying the industry. The challenge is when we have an industry there, we have academic institutions there, and academia prepares something for the industry. That's where the challenge is. But I said, if we prepare it, we have the industry, isn't it? Then there's no mismatch. So that could go away almost immediately, this week collaboration, because we will be the one driving, and our industry per se don't have many big companies. Most of the companies we're talking about are here. Outdated curriculum, yes, because it was those academia. With us, we do ours. So I'm looking at the registration, the throughput to adjust the issues. Shortage of skills of experienced lecturers. It comes to saying us with the experience here should be the ones who become those lecturers. Are you with me?
Yes.
You cannot leave it to somebody else who has no experience in this industry. We, RPL, we start with that RPL of our guys to make sure that they get the requisite qualification, and then we make them assessors who will then, because remember I said we build our standards, isn't it? Then they then assess. So some of these things we can deal with. A response on duration time is slow. Well, I'm talking the generic one, but ordinarily this we can be able to deal with. The governance issues are just the structural government issues. Another challenge that seems to be there is the articulation, meaning that if somebody now is moving from the TVET and decides that I want to go to university, such that there should be alignment, such that one can articulate and move up to the university. Some of the best, I think this would be my last slide, the collaboration. I'm saying now the best practices that we may be looking at for the fourth industrial revolution. Us, in our sector. 1, collaboration, key, across the continent, key. 2, partnerships, networking. We don't compete with each other. KJ, I don't see him here. Yesterday when they were talking to say you collaborate. Collaborate. So that you collaborating is key. You don't fight each other when we are building. My experience, one experience in America. I attended a conference of some property real estate. Big companies that I see them as competitors were on the stage, sharing to everybody how they are doing it. I said to myself, they come out high so that I beat the next guy, isn't it? No, the more you share, the more you grow, the more you get better, the more the industry grows. If you grow alone and we are here, it's useless for the industry. We grow together, we strengthen the industry, then this thing about one playing the other with money KG goes because we are together in this. Leverage resources, when we are together, we leverage resources. Entrepreneurship is a way, but this is what the industry is. It encourages more entrepreneurship, online flexibility learning, to say so that careers, people shouldn't say, I'm stopping my career now with this thing. Blended learning, we see how we make it online or something. That's the order of the day with the fourth industrial, so that we don't need to be face-to-face to be attending. We can make a plan in terms of that. Catch them young. I'm saying, so that our industry is respected and taken and make sure it has a footprint. We take it to the schools, high schools, we market it, our industry. Then when they grow up already, our industry is a captive market because we caught them early, not late when somebody doesn't know what to do and then joins. No, early, so that it's an industry somebody says, I want to be there. Generalist, specialists, foster industrial revolution, you can have, those in production and have 5 engineers, sound this, or have one guy who's a generalist. Who will you go with? Generalist, isn't it? Unfortunately, this sports industrial seems to be bringing everything together, such that you seem to need a generalist who has aspects of everything, not a specialist. This a specialist, 4 guys who compete. They said they compete. It seems to be saying a generalist is better suited, so that you have skills of various things, not just one specialization. And we're operating, I said, is a Toyota model. What they've done, Toyota, is that while they take these graduates or potential graduates to their company so that they work there while they are. So there's collaboration with the training institution and the entity and the integrated level. The last 2 that I want to stress, that's why I put on the range, said, we must change the rules of the game. We develop our standards. If we develop our standards, that's our rules. That's our assessors. That's our curriculum. That change the rules of the game. You wait and throw an academic. You bring something, we have academics, that's why we have courses on astrology. You say, what are you studying? You say, the stars. Because he liked the stars. Other people must do the stars. We don't wait for somebody to print stars. We design the standards to say this is what we want. And the last one, we don't compete among ourselves. We're growing it together.